Delegate of Czech Republic.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Canada. Delegate of Central African Republic.
Present.
Delegate of Denmark.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Egypt.
Yes.
Delegate of Egypt. Okay. Delegate of Finland.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Delegate of France.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Germany.
Present.
Delegate of Indonesia. Delegate of Indonesia. I'm unable to hear you. Could you just mute and unmute again? You can write it in the chat. I'm unable to hear you. Delegate of Israel.
Present.
Delegate of Italy. Delegate of Indonesia if marked you present. Don't worry. Delegate of Italy. Delegate of Iraq. Delegate of Iraq. I believe you're present there. Just mark your attendance in the chat box or in the Telegram group. It works. Delegate of Iran.
Present.
Delegate of India.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Japan.
Present.
Delegate of Lebanon.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Myanmar. Delegate of Myanmar. Delegate of Norway.
Present.
Delegate of Philippines. Delegate of Philippines. Delegate of Russia.
Hello, everyone. We are here.
Who's this?
Russia.
Okay. Delegate of Romania.
Here.
Delegate of Saudi Arabia.
Present.
Delegate of Spain. Delegate of Spain.
Present.
Delegate of Sweden.
Present.
Delegate of Syria.
Present.
Delegate of Sudan.
Present and voting.
Delegate of Sri Lanka.
Present.
Delegate of Turkey.
Present and voting.
Delegate of UAE.
Present and voting.
Delegate of United Kingdom.
Present.
Delegate of USA. Delegate of USA. Delegate of Ukraine.
Present.
I'll just repeat ones whom I've not marked yet. Delegate of Afghanistan is here. Pardon, delegate? Delegate of Afghanistan, would you like to vote in present or voting? Delegate of
Hi.
Australia?
I don't know if you just skipped me, but I'm the delegate of Italy and I'm present.
This is a delegate of, could you just tell me your country portfolio?
I'm the delegate of Italy and I'm present. I don't know if you just skipped me.
Okay, no issues. I'll just mark you present.
Okay. Thank you.
Delegate of Argentina is not there. Delegate of Brazil is not there, I believe. Delegate of Bangladesh is also not there. Delegate of Canada. Delegate of Iraq. Delegate of Iraq. You can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself. Okay. Delegate of Philippines. Delegate of USA.
Delegate of US is present and voting.
Okay. Thank you, delegates. Now I would like the chair to take over.
Thank you, Prakriti. Prakriti, could you send Navya the list of the delegates who are not there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I also see some students here who've logged in with their personal Microsoft IDs. I would request them to please use the login ID which the school has given you, as it would be.
Delegate of Indonesia.
Or if possible, can they be renamed, Prakriti? All right, so we'll have to make them join from their CSW IDs. Felicia, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you please log in from the ID which was provided to you by your teacher? You would have been given an ID corresponding to your country allotment.
Hello, I am the teacher from Moldova.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Uliana, yes. One of my students has a problem here. She can't connect with you. What can we do? Can you
All
help
right, ma'am.
us?
Yes, ma'am. What is the country? The country allotted?
The country allotted. Brazil. Obreja Ana, Brazil. She can't connect.
All right, ma'am. Can she please mention that in the Telegram group? One of the technical team heads will help her. Meanwhile, Prakriti, can you please mark the delegate of Brazil as present?
Yeah, she is here. Maybe she will go together with the delegate from Finland, from
All
the
right.
same device. Is it all right?
It's all right, ma'am. That's fine. But
yes, from Brazil.
But it would be a problem to recognize her, ma'am, because if I see the delegate of Finland raising their hand, I would recognize the delegate of Finland. And I wouldn't know if it's the delegate of Brazil raising the hand or the delegate of Finland.
Okay. Then maybe we shall connect because we have
you can
2 hours.
take your time. Yeah, you can take your time, ma'am, and
we
I'll
shall
let
try
one of
to
the
do the
technical
best.
team members know.
Okay, maybe we shall do our best. If not, they will be together. Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll be starting with the committee now. I hope everyone has prepared a 90-second opening statement, also known as the GSL. If you have done so, please raise your hands. If you've all prepared a 90-second speech known as the GSL, please raise your hand. All right, I see 9 hands. Good. All right, that is wonderful to see everyone having prepared their speeches. Really well done, everyone. All right, you can lower down your hands now. Okay, delegates. So I'll be keeping the flow of the committee very simple. So what we'll be doing is we'll start with the GSL and we'll go alphabetically wise. So we'll start with the delegate of Afghanistan, then we'll go to Australia, Argentina in that order, A to Z. And once we're finished with the GSL, then we'll move forward and I'll explain to you what we have to do. Okay. But for now, we'll start with the GSL in alphabetical order, 90 seconds each. All right. Any doubts you can mention in the chat box. Along with that, at the end of every GSL, I'll be asking all the other delegates if they have any questions. So, for example, if the delegate of Afghanistan right now just gave their speech for 90 seconds, once those 90 seconds are over or the speech is over, I'll be asking, are there any questions for the delegate of Afghanistan? If any of you have a question for the delegate of Afghanistan on the basis of their speech, please raise your hands, okay? If you have any doubts, you can mention in the chat box and please lower down your hands. Delegate of India, Czech Republic, could you please lower your hands? So we'll be starting with the GSL now. Prakriti, do you want to call out the names one by one?
Yes, okay. Delegate of Afghanistan, go first. Delegate of Afghanistan,
Yes.
OC member, are you there for sharing the timer?
Yes.
Okay, you can start.
Yeah.
The delegate of Afghanistan feels that the status of women in many parts of Eurasia has largely remained unaffected by the pace of development in the region, and treated believe present women from pursuing further education. Instead, they marry young, in the middle age of just 15 in South Asia. In Bangladesh, only 5% of women go to university. In Afghanistan, families do not allow their daughters to study with boys. In August 2021, the Taliban seized power in Afghanistan, and since then secondary education for girls in the country has been banned. Since the 1960s, the education of girls has been provided in international development and aid policy as a way to limit population, adjust economic growth, or attend to policy stabilization. When women were educated and in work, they contribute to reducing poverty, enhancing and the health of their children, and promoting social and cultural cohesion. But
Your delegate time is over.
the delegate would like to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate of Afghanistan. Your points have been very well noted. Do I have any questions for the delegate of Afghanistan? If so, please raise your hands. All right, delegate of USA, you may unmute and ask your question.
So delegate of Afghanistan went ahead and mentioned that actually there have been some obstacles for the education of females in Afghanistan, and that has been actually enhanced in a worst case scenario due to the influence of Taliban terrorists. Delegate of USA would like to know what sort of international collaborations the delegate of Afghanistan is hoping to take to tackle this issue of influence of Taliban in female education.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Afghanistan, would you like to answer? Delegate of Afghanistan, Would you like to answer to the question posed by the delegate of USA?
Yes. I think this policy can fail to address or inquire into the needs, rights, or capabilities of girls themselves or to wider conditions of gender and intersecting inequalities. And they are often promoted without any sustained uh, engagement with wider policy goals for gender equality or women's rights.
Thank you, delegate. Denmark and UAE, you could please lower your hands. I'll be only taking one question since the delegate had elapsed their 90 seconds. All right. Prakriti, you can move on.
Okay, before that, I would like to ask if delegate of Argentina is present there. Delegate of Argentina. Okay. Delegate of Australia. Okay, is not there. Delegate of Brazil, you can start with your speech.
Hello everyone, I am the delegate of Brazil and I would like to speak about the Commission on the Status of Women. The Commission on the Status of Women is the world's main policy-making body dedicated exclusively to gender equality and the advancement of women. It works to promote women's political, economic, civil, social, and educational rights. It can also highlight urgent problems such as the situations of women and girls affected by conflict. Brazil has implemented gender-responsive public policies in a cross-sectoral and consistent manner, reinforcing measures to promote equality between women and men in the last 8 years. These policies have been implemented in an array of actions aimed at promoting the rights of women at all their dimensions. Today, women in Brazil enjoy the same legal rights and duties as men. Despite having the same legal rights as men, Brazilian women continue to fight for equality in the workplace. The gender wage gap in Brazil is one of the largest in Latin America, and women earn an average of 30% less than men. From my point of view, all the women in Brazil will have rights, they will be treated the same as men and other beautiful accomplishments. But in order all this to become true, I think the Commission of Status of Women will work intensively. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. So do we have any questions for the delegate of Brazil? All right. Delegate of Denmark, you may ask your question.
Right, delegate. So 32% of Brazilian women do not attend secondary education. What has the government of Brazil done about this issue?
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be wrong about it, so I don't want to say a wrong answer. But I think the government still works at this problem.
All right. Thank you, delegate of Brazil. It's good to not be wrong and speak wrong factual figures. You can look up the answer and send it through the chat box later on. All right. That works as well. I'll mark you accordingly. Thank you, Denmark, for the question. UAE, you could lower your hand and we'll be moving on to the next speech.
Okay, before I go to the next delegate, I would like all the delegates to turn on their camera. And if you cannot turn on right now, just when you speak, turn it on. Next delegate is delegate of China. Delegate of China.
Yes.
You can start your speech.
Okay. The dilemmas of China feel that including its religions of age, class, and regions. Every woman has the opportunity to excel in life and make her dream come true. The support woman development world with and the word of UN Women, China will donate 10 million USD to UN Women for the implementation. In the coming 5 years, China will help other development countries building 100 healthy projects of women and children. Then Trump and millions expect to purchase service and implement 100 Happy Cayman's project to finance the schooling and poor girls and release girls' school environment release. Under as religious find come supported by China and the United Nations, there will be special campaigns building programs of women from development countries. Speaking as the government leader and China's President Xi Jinping said, China will do more to China's granted investment at its base and poses give place to women important world at half of the sky and support them in relations their own dreams
Dear
and
delegate, your time is over.
Thank you, delegate of China. So do we have any questions to the delegate of China? Please raise your hands. Anyone else? All right, we'll be taking the question from the delegate of USA this time. Wait. Delegate of Iraq, go ahead. Delegate of Iraq, you may ask the question. Delegate of Iraq, do you have a question to ask to the delegate of China? You can mention it in the chat box if you can't unmute. Till then, delegate of USA, you may ask your question.
Thank you, Chair. So, delegate of China, you went ahead and mentioned that the nation of China is actually taking many steps to protect female education. But what delegate of USA see here is that if female education should be accessible to achieve gender equality, it should be accessible to each and every girl without any consideration towards her race, nationality, or whatsoever. But what we see in China is that a certain group of girls are given the easy accessibility to education, but whereas another group is not given the chance due to concepts such as racism, like we saw in the crisis situations such as the crimes against Xinjiang issue.
Delegate of China, would you like to answer to the question?
Sorry about that. I don't know.
No worries, delegate. You can look up the answer, research it, and send it in the chat box. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
delegate.
we have the delegate of Czech Republic now. Delegate of Czech Republic, I'm so sorry, you're on mute. You need to unmute.
Yes, sorry. Is it okay?
Yeah, you can start again.
Perfect, thank you. Investing in girls' education transforms communities, countries, and the entire world. Education is the key to success. Unfortunately, many women worldwide don't have the opportunity to pursue their dreams because they don't have the access to it. The delegate of Czech Republic feels like it's the biggest problem nowadays, mostly in the developing countries, and it needs to be solved. We really need to focus on the improvement. In the Czech Republic, there are no formal obstacles to choosing a field of study or no restriction in educational path either. Nevertheless, there are significant differences between boys and girls in the choice of fields of study. For example, there's a typical predominance of boys in the technical sciences, which is related to a whole range of gender stereotypes, such as the boys have the genes for mathematics, etc. Basically, women in STEM are not appreciated. The delegate of Czech Republic feels like ensuring the quality needs to be taken care of by our head leaders as soon as possible because it goes hand in hand with the overpopulation, meaning when women study, they have children later, which is also better for economics and so on, is not solving just one problem. In a bit, mostly men and people in power need to come to understand that it's the 21st century and that we're at the top of our evolution and let women have their basic own rights to study whatever they wish to. The countries needs to act and they need to do it now. I'd like to quote Mr. Chesteron. Education is simply the soul of society as it passes from one generation to another, and women should not be deprived of this inheritance. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Your points have been very well noted. Are there any questions for the Delegate of Czech Republic? Delegate of UAE, you may ask a question.
As you have mentioned, you've mentioned many very specific points about how women should be treated just like men in gender equality, SDG 4. I agree, sorry, SDG 5. But I wanted to ask a very important question. What has the Czech Republic done to do this? What have they done, like already done, not something that they're thinking of doing, like something that has already happened? Thank you.
Of course, actually, Czech Republic is really high level at this because there are no restriction about it. As I mentioned earlier, really, you can, as a woman, you can choose anything, and governments do not restrict anything for you. So there are no really restrictions like in the developing countries, for example. And Czech Republic have done like lots of women like earlier have done lots of protests, and Czech Republic heard them, or the government heard them, and they improved these problems. So now there are really no problems in choosing education as a woman. You can choose whatever that you wish to.
Thank you. Just one more question. Is that okay? Yeah. You have mentioned that and you've answered my question. Thank you very much for that. But as you've mentioned, any woman can do anything, and so the same for men, right?
Yes.
But does that allow them to do like to study practically anything without any qualifications or any studying? Like for example, I have like there's no failing, for example. There are no marks, there are no failing, there's no proper educational system, because that would be a pretty big problem.
No, of course, there's an educational system, there are marks. This is the only like restriction stopping you from studying what you want. You don't have the proper like knowledge and qualification. You have to pass certain exams. But as it concerns like the gender, the equality is the same. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, but it matters like how much points you score on an exam to get into university or some school you want. Of course, you have to have the qualification and the knowledge that it's important to have for this like study of field.
Thank you very much, Delegate of Czech Republic. One small note, please only ask one question per recognition. Don't ask a follow-up question or two questions. That's all, okay? We can move on to the next page.
We have the next delegate as a delegate of Central African Republic. Delegate of Central African Republic. Yes, you may
Honorable
ask.
Yes. Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, thank you for the recognition. In countries with ongoing armed conflicts like the Central African Republic, the largest problem that's stopping females from access to education is the lack of resources. In our country, the Central African Republic civil war is an ongoing civil war involving the government, rebels from the Seleka coalition, and anti-Bala communities. This war that has been going on since December 2012 has caused both girls and boys to lose years of education, while girls are often the worst affected, as out-of-school rate increased to 55%. Villages in Central African Republic lack schools, teachers, teaching materials, and basic facilities due to many schools being occupied by armed forces, and teachers who sought refuge in other areas had yet to return to the country. In order to improve the education access for females, the Central African Republic proposed the construction of new schools and hiring 300 teachers who specialize in teaching English and math to the United Nations and to run the schools at the refugee camps in Bangui, Obo, Ndele, and Bambari. The Central African Republic is aware that most countries do not have ongoing wars. However, poverty which stops females from accessing education is a global phenomenon, and country conflict is one of the factors of poverty. Thus, the Central African Republic suggests the creation of UN fund program that help to provide basic facilities and teaching staff to places that lack the resources needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of the Central African Republic. Are there any questions for the delegate? Okay, we'll go with the delegate of Denmark this time.
Delegate, the literacy rate, the female literacy rate of Central African Republic is only 24%, and it is the lowest in Africa. So what is the solution to this issue?
Delegate, would you like to answer to the question?
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Yeah, delegate, would you like to answer to the question asked by the delegate of Denmark?
Or this, as I said, the solution is to the creation of UN-funded program to support the construction of new schools and hiring teachers in English. Thank you.
All right, thank you, delegate. Delegate of Denmark, could you please repeat the literacy percentage once for me?
The literacy percentage for the women was 24%.
All right, could you please share the source in the chat as well? Thank you, delegate. We'll be moving on to the next speaker now.
Next, we have the delegate of Denmark.
Executive vote, can I just share the literacy rate after my GSL?
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Take your time.
Thank you, Ibi, for the recognition. Education for girls is often the lowest budget priority in many countries. Daughters are perceived to be less valuable once educated and less likely to abide by the will of the father, brother, or husband. Often, male siblings will be given the chance to attend school instead. The biggest barriers faced by girls' education worldwide are social and cultural factors, early marriage, like the opportunity cost of school, lack of separate toilets for girls, lack of qualified female teachers. As quoted by UNICEF, barriers to girls' education like poverty, child marriage, and gender-based violence vary among countries and communities. Poor families often favor boys when investing in education. In some places, schools do not meet the safety, hygiene, or sanitation needs of girls. Better educated women tend to be more informed about nutrition and healthcare, have fewer children, marry at a later age, and their children are usually healthier should they choose to become mothers. They are more likely to participate in the formal labor market and earn higher incomes. Educating girls saves lives and builds stronger families, communities, and economies. An educated female population increases the country's productivity and fuels economic growth. Some countries lose more than $1 billion a year by failing to educate girls to the same level as boys.
Thank you, delegate. Do we have any questions to the delegate of Denmark? Delegate of Iraq, do you have a question? Delegate of Iraq, you're not audible. If you have a
If Lebanon would like to ask the delegate of Denmark that you had mentioned provide qualified teachers for education in order to resolve this situation.
Barrier was that, and the government of Denmark has actively has example for the rest of the world. And when we talk about legislation, the primary education is often the best law that Denmark has ever put forward.
Thank you.
Delegate of Denmark, would you also like to answer to the question posted by the delegate of Iraq in the try to it in the chat box itself, okay?
Delegate of Egypt. Delegate of Delegate of Finland.
Finland.
Yeah, you can go ahead with your speech.
Has a good track record.
Go ahead. He.
Finland has a good track record in gender equality. The Global Gender Gap Report.
Hi. What can I do for you?
Political and economical life. Finland was the first country in the status of women and gender equality. The level of education 17 were women, and I want to say three famous women. Tarja Holonen, first female president in Finland, and Finland's younger ever prime minister. That's it. Thank you.
I'm here.
You may raise your hands. I'll wait.
Uh, th- first allowed to first to ever do this, but actually, as per research of New Zealand in 1996, and that you were the second ones.
Yeah.
So that fact is not correct. That allow women to have election. You are the second to ever do this.
Information that you told me. I'm sorry again.
All right.
It's
Thank you,
fine.
Delegate Giveaway. One thing I'd like to tell in the speech of another delegate, just raise your hand or just unmute and say get speech. All right. Instead of asking that as a question, you may point that as a point of order.
Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Prakriti, you can do the next.
Yeah. Delegate of France, you're next. Delegate of France, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you can
The
start
dele-
your speech.
The delegate of France feels to start with a quote from Napoleon, who once said, "Give me an educated mother, and I will give you an educated nation." This statement is enough to prove the importance of female education. Female education is a catch-all term of a complex set of issues and debates surrounding education for girls and women. It includes areas of gender equality and access to education. The education of women and girls is important connection to the elevation of poverty. Quality education is the foundation of improving human living conditions and sustainable development. The international community is fully commitment to this priority by including inclusive and equality education for all among the sustainable development goals. For France, education is one of the answers of many global challenges. Investing in education is one of our priorities to ensure the promotion of free, equality, and accessible education for all. As Manuel Marcon said, the fight we have to wage for the education of young girls, the fight for emancipation, is the fight for effective freedom. In 2021, France was allocated more than 1 billion euros to education, providing school facilities, opening new schools, bringing schools, winning easy reach of the children, starting girls' sessions in boys' school, considered course for adult women. Although major progress has already been made, effort must be continued to reach these sustainable development goals. Improving education system in all developing countries concern us all.
The
In
delegate, your time
France,
is over.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of France. Are there any questions to the Delegate of France? Delegate of Sudan, you may ask your question.
What are women's rights in France?
As a woman in France, you have all the rights in education, and the government does not restrict you, especially in education.
All right, thank you, Delegate. I'll be taking one more question. Delegate of USA, I think you had your hand raised.
Yes, shall I ask my question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Delegate of France, as a developed country and a veto nation with economical stability, how is the nation of France hoping to aid developing and less economically developed countries without proper economical facilities to achieve that gender equality in the education sector?
Well, we are working on it, and I don't want to make a mistake, so I will look up the answer and put it in the chat box.
All right, thank you, delegates. Delegate of UAE, you may lower your hand, please.
Delegate of Germany, are you there? Yeah, you can start your speech.
Yes, I am there. The delegate of Germany strongly feels that providing quality education is very essential for an overall development of a nation. An educated person can only utilize all the natural resources and make the country successful. But when it comes in providing education, girls are always considered second than males. Germany, being a first-tier country, is very active and stands a good position when it comes in providing quality education with 50% university graduates and 45% doctoral graduates as females. The delegate of Germany would like to grab attention of the executive board towards the problem faced by girls that become a wall in front of their education. Health is a basic factor. Female infanticide, girls' mortality rate is still high and exists in this world. Poverty also restricts girls from getting higher education and become an educated person. Parents willing to send their girls are not able to send so because of poverty. Sexual violence is another common problem that hurt them mentally and physically. With this, the delegate of Germany would like to conclude by saying gender equality is a sustainable goal and not just few countries, but the world should achieve it. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate of Germany. Do we have any questions for the delegate? Let's go with the delegate of Denmark this time.
Right. So, delegate, although the women in Germany are becoming more qualified for their professions, they're still far less likely to be in top level jobs compared to men. What is the solution?
The solution can be spreading awareness. I think that women are like people think that women can't do this, but it's not so. They can do much more thing. The government should take measures to like us promote women to work for these and be in the and be in uh, and like they should provide it with education and all so that they could be coming the mainstream with males, but still in Germany women are like highly qualified and women are also at big posts.
All right, thank you, delegate. Your points have been noted. We'll be moving to the next speaker now.
Delegate of Indonesia, you're next.
Okay. Now, in Indonesia, access to female education tends to be uneven and only concentrated in a few regions. A deeply rooted patriarchal culture also exacerbates women's opportunities to receive education to a higher level. Society assumes that women are weak and not dominant. This has led to the assumption that in the future, it's only men who will guarantee decisions and lives. Women only obey what men decide. This assumption makes people think that women who receive higher education are only part of wasting time and money, and in the end, they will submit to men. The patrilineal system, or the withdrawal of offspring from the male line that developed in several regional subcultures, causes women's access to education to be less important, and it becomes a natural thing because this idea continues to be inherited. And for that, we must empowering the advancement of thinking patterns because only with an open mind, ease, and advancement of access to education for women can be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate of Indonesia. Do we have any questions for the delegate? Delegate of Israel, you may ask your question.
Okay, thank you. What is the role of the government of Indonesia about female education? I also hear that government only focus on the political things. What about that, sir? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. In Indonesia, the government also provides scholarships abroad to study, providing KIP or some kind of free access for underprivileged students, as well as information dissemination about several diseases that attack women, such as cervical cancer, breast cancer, the importance of adding blood to menstruation. But in Indonesia, it is still not comprehensive and only a few groups can access it because problem of position privileges. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Delegate of Indonesia. Israel, you could lower your hand, please.
Okay, next we have the delegate of Israel.
Okay, thank you. Throughout history, women have had only a limited role in society with restricted opportunities. The latter fact, highlighted on this occasion as the women's issues, prevails even in this new era where we found that gender inculcations continue to promote disadvantaging this group. Education that nowadays has been recognized by a number of international organizations as a human right and development imperative is one of the first that has suffered these women's issues. As pointed out by UNESCO in 2012, the preference laws over females in education has been marked feature since ancient societies, practice that has shaped today's gender disparities in the sector of all countries. The position of the UNESCO in this case is that women have the right to the same opportunities as their male counterparts. Therefore, they also have to be seen as a part of essential human resource by of every country. Relatedly, the importance of women's participation in education is critical. Education of the women is important not only from the angle of equal education opportunity between the sexes, but for the substantial social and economic returns to female education that can be achieved by raising for better education. Women who has increased education are more aware about opportunities for themselves. They are more self-confident, open-minded, and competitive. So it can be concluded that education is worthy so women can develop worldwide. Okay, thank you. That's enough for me.
Thank you, Delegate of Israel. Do we have any questions to the Delegate of Israel? Delegate of Indonesia.
Okay, I will ask about how to access female education during the war situation in Israel. Can you answer? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question from Indonesia delegates. Okay, the education during the war is still being good accesses. For example, in this COVID era, the Minister of Israel still having the process of like example the elementary school still has the power of study itself. Also, some of the women that have privilege can be better women in USA, like Yael Shalbia, she's being a model. So I think it's back from the privilege again. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. We'll only be taking one question. You may lower your hands.
Next we have the delegate of Italy. Delegate of Italy, are you there? Okay. Delegate of Iraq.
Did you call me?
Yeah, you need to give your speech.
Okay.
Yes, am I audible?
Who's this?
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, you can start.
The delegate of Iran feels that the role of women is confined mainly to domestic responsibilities, keeping them as away from education as possible. Across the country, only 14% of all women are educated enough to work. 50% of all illiterate women have been neglected from their right of education because of rejection from their parents, while the other 50% were having financial issues, illness, or transportation problems. The delegate's point of view is that women in here are never given high positions even after acknowledging their unbelievable and amazing talents. The lack of awareness and deep-rooted culture of male domination is a main reason contributing into low literacy rates among Iraqi women. If this continues, then Iraq is going to have a major downfall in terms of economy and environment. The first step should be taken is improvising education on women and letting them polish and embrace themselves into following their dreams and becoming equal to males. Without education, women would have faced difficulties in standing for themselves to avoid gender-based violence or early marriages. Often, males are seen as the head or the leader of the family and can discourage the denial of women's basic rights. But only unity and cooperation from each side can only limit these issues and make a more friendly environment for every gender. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate, could you please repeat the first line of your speech?
Yes, sure. The role of women in Iraq is confined mainly to domestic responsibilities, keeping them as away from education as possible.
All right, thank you, Delegate. Do we have any questions for the Delegate of Iraq? All right, Delegate of Denmark. Uh, Delegate of
I
Denmark,
feel
you may go ahead.
delegate of Lebanon has a need here.
All right, we can go with Denmark followed by Lebanon. All right, two questions.
To delegate, many women and girls in Iraq continue to face cultural, socio-economic, and structural constraints as a result of traditional stereotypes, not only at home but also at school. So, what has the government done towards it? Unfortunately, the government is having no role in this. They are not helping the women. They are not doing anything.
All right, Delegate of Lebanon, you may ask your question.
Yes, thank you. So, as you mentioned, that Iraq may face a downfall if certain goals are not attained. So, what do you think in order to prevent this downfall should be done, or what steps should be taken to prevent this?
So in my last paragraph, I think I said that the first step which should be taken should be improvising education on women, because without education, women won't be able to stand up for themselves and defend themselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, delegates. Okay, before we move on to the next speaker, I would just like to make one small point. Okay, the country you're representing today, you're representing the government of that country. All right. So, for example, if I am representing Sweden, let's say, I'm not representing as a citizen of Sweden. I'm a representative of the government of Sweden. So I can't blame the government of Sweden for the problems in my country. All right. Please make sure of that you are a representative of the government. Thank you, delegates.
Next, we have the delegate of Iran. Delegate of Iran,
Present.
you need to give your speech.
Okay. In the name of God, Honorable Chair Board, esteemed delegates, we, as the delegation of Islamic Republic of Iran, would like to state that it's a great honor to take place in this eminent conference. We would like to take part in this conference because we are all members and countries of UN, and we are here for the peace especially. And for this committee, we are present for the equality and rights of women. Throughout the committee session, we'll be completely looking forward to solve the current and upcoming problems via discussions and diplomatic solutions. We do believe that diplomatic solutions are the key to peace, which is the main mission of UN. Since the 1990s, there's been a significant increase in Iranian women's participation in education. In the last 5 years alone, Iranian women have made up more than 60% of university entrants. It's a great value for women because this also forms a strong bond between upcoming freedom and social life. Women will be the ones to play a prominent role in shaping the next generation as mothers too. Eventually, determining the future of our country is in the hands of them. We are awaiting for the society to get ready to accommodate these rapid changes. Any solutions which will be idealized should be implemented gradually. I hope this to be a fruitful debate. Thank you. We yield the floor to the chair.
Thank you for yielding the floor to the chair, delegate, but we're having one compulsory question for delegate anyway. So are there any questions to the delegate of Iran? Anyone else? Anyone else? Come on, delegates. Any questions to the delegate of Iran? I see only Denmark and USA right now. All right, we'll go with USA.
So delegate
Delegate
of
of USA,
Iran.
you may ask.
So delegate of Iran, right? True that according to the statistics proposed by delegate of Iran, maybe 60% of university entrants are female students. But what we see is that the education system of Iran is deeply influenced by the religious extremities and the stereotypes proposed by the cultural conventions in Iran. How does the government has taken solutions to make sure that such religious extremities, such religious conventional beliefs are not going to affect women and their education in the future?
I can say is we're not just giving education for females in our country, just in our country. We send them abroad too, so we can guarantee their education for the further times. And all I can say is we are trying to increase the amount of women who are in business, but if we think that way, women in STEM are growing gradually. It's not happening at the same time. So there is a way to guarantee this, but it should be implemented gradually, as I said.
All right, thank you, delegate of Iran and the delegate of USA. Delegate of Iraq, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. So I wanted to ask, what is the work rate of the percentage of the women here, of the women of Iran?
I couldn't get the question. Can you repeat that, please?
I was saying that what is the work rate in percentages? What can be said about the work rate of women in Iran?
Not every graduates get into work. They also may stay at their home and be a mother and create a new generation for us. It will also be fruitful in the future. But the certain ratio for the woman in work is not calculated right now. I am looking for it, but I'll make sure to let you know about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. We'll only be taking 2 questions. We can move to the next speaker now.
Okay, the next delegate we have is the delegate of India.
So, the delegate of India thinks that education is a crucial component in development and progress of every country. There are always a number of elements in nation which are deprived of their basic rights. Women are certainly the biggest of them all. As consequence of growing tendency of underestimating women, the need for a change was felt. Now we enjoy the benefits of being a free citizens, but we really need to think if each person is free or can enjoy freedom in the true sense of this word. According to Gender Gap Report 2022, which measures the level of equality in country between the two genders, India has been ranked at 135th out of the 146 participating countries. If we want to make a change, education is a tool for women's empowerment. In India, there are more than 150 million illiterate women. The delegate of India feels that the biggest problem with women's education starts at home. I think that parents view educating son as an investment. Sons will be responsible for aging parents. Daughters are going to marry off to a different family. The delegate of India would like to suggest a solution. In this attempt, parents should equally support both of their children. The delegate would like to conclude with words of Bianc. If you educate a man, you educate an individual. If you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have any questions for the Delegate of India? I'd like to see different students asking questions, delegates. I'm only seeing the same 2 or 3 delegates again and again. Anyone else? All right, Sudan.
All right, so my question is how are Hijra, I think, treated in India?
Sorry, what was the question?
How are Hijra treated in India? I'm not sure if I'm spelling that good. It's
Could you
Hijra.
type that in the chat, please,
Okay.
Delegate of Sudan?
Yeah, thank you.
Delegate of India, please answer that question through the chat. We'll also take one more question from the Delegate of Spain.
Okay.
Am I audible?
Yes, Delegate.
So I have a question from the delegate of India, that what is the role of the government of India in ensuring the access to education for females?
How I want to ensure the access for education? Is that the question?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'm very sorry. Good evening. Respected EB sir, there is a delegate in your committee who belongs to WHO. It's WHO United Kingdom.
Okay.
Okay, so if the OC can please, dear child, dear delegate, you have come in the wrong committee. This is UNCSW, United Kingdom. The delegate is from Italy. Please join WHO. I think you have mistakenly joined here.
Yes, I see the delegate.
Yes, OC, you are supposed to kindly focus here. I hope, is the problem sorted? Is UK still here?
I'll send
UK,
them a quick
WHO?
personal message too.
EB sir, I think your team can manage.
Yes, ma'am. We'll let them know.
I would request the OC to kindly send a message
Yeah, just
to
send it in the
WHO.
Telegram group once. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. If you can hear me out, WHO, UK.WHO, student from Italy, you have mistakenly joined this committee. Dear student, it is basically UNCSW. Kindly go back to your committee, WHO. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but they told me to come in here. I don't know why the name is wrong, but I talk about gender equality, so I think it's right.
Sorry, what was your question again? We were interrupted and
1 minute. Delegate of India, please 1 minute. Okay. Delegate of UK. Are you sure your committee is UNCSW? Because your ID also says that you're belonging to WHO.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm 100% sure.
All right. What is your name, delegate? Could you please type that in the chat once? I just have a look at my list.
Okay.
Delegate of Spain, could you please repeat the question till then?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, delegate.
So I have a question, that what is the role of the government of India in ensuring better access of education to the females?
Yes. So I think that there is this 5th-year plan that was how to say it, there was influence in India from 2012 to 2017, and in those years the percentage of women's literacy went went really up, and it helped to improve their education. And the fourth was improve literacy of 8%, I think, but then it got even better, and the literacy of women got higher in the like was better than the progress of in literacy was better than in men's literacy. So I would say this is the answer.
All right, thank you, delegate. We'll only be taking these two questions. Delegate UK, could you please confirm your name once?
We request the EB to kindly proceed with the committee. Let our organizing team get in touch with you. Okay?
All right,
I will just share the chat with the, yes.
Yes, ma'am, because
all the best. Please carry forward, and I will get back to the delegate of UK within 5 minutes.
all right, thank you, ma'am. Prakriti will move to the next speaker.
Okay, just before that, I would like the delegate of Sudan to please, outspoke his question, because I don't think Chat via system will be more viable. So if delegate of Sudan can repeat his question via formally right now.
Yeah. Delegate of India, right?
I mean the delegate of Sudan to the delegate of India.
Yeah, the delegate of India, the delegate of Sudan asked how are intersex people treated, intersex or transgender people treated in India? That was basically the question.
So, I'm sorry. I need to think about this question, and can I answer in the chat?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, seeing this, we can move forward with the delegate of Japan. Delegate of Japan.
Thank you for your recognition. Girls face barriers to education caused by poverty, cultural norms, and violence almost every day. Not to forget, as DG5, the delegate of Japan feels that harmful gender stereotypes should be cancelled. The Japanese government has announced a partnership to promote gender equality in Japan. This partnership aims to raise awareness of gender inequality and develop capabilities of young women and men to act as agents of change. According to the World Economic Forum, Japan ranks 120th out of 153 countries around the world on gender equality compared to other industrialized nations and its nation neighbors. Japanese women complained about the domestic demands on them, including universities' unwillingness to accommodate them. This issue makes education very difficult to pursue. The delegate feels that the stability of quality education is crucial to develop one's country. Today, there is practically no gender gap in the opportunity for education in Japan. In order to achieve this goal, women must be given platforms to be in power and achieve economic success. Violence and sexual assault against women should be stopped as they must be protected at all costs. Other than that, the government can build more schools and workplaces exclusively for women as they will feel safe and get the opportunity to work and study peacefully as they are surrounded by only women. Lastly, treat every woman and every man as a human being and equally. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Do we have any questions for the delegate of Japan? Will delegate of Czech Republic, do you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask. You said that the Japan government is trying to like build schools just for women, or was I wrong?
Yes.
Yes, and are they going, or do they have any plans to improve it, like in this year or so, or how is it going there?
Thank you for the question, Delegate. Delegate of Japan, would you like to answer? It is fine if you don't have an answer right now. You can just let me know that we'll be answering later on through the chat box and I'll mark you accordingly. Delegate of Japan, would you like to answer now or later through the chat box?
They are planning to build more schools and workplaces for women only.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Delegate. We'll not be taking any more questions for the speech. You may lower your hands, everyone.
Okay, next we have the delegate of Lebanon. Delegate of
The
Lebanon.
delegate of Lebanon. Yes. May I start?
Yes.
The delegate of Lebanon appreciates the recognition from the board. The delegate of Lebanon feels that education is exceptionally important towards the development of human beings, and it is very sorrowful for the delegate of Lebanon to state that women are denied their basic and most needed rights worldwide due to the superiority of gender inequality and men. The barriers of girls' education, like poverty, child marriage, and gender-based violence, vary among countries and communities. Girls' education in Lebanon not only includes its female citizens, but also the female refugees who have recently become part of the country. Lebanon hosts almost 1 million registered Syrian refugees. The delegate of Lebanon would like to suggest a few ideas in order to resolve this conflict, moreover trying to implement it throughout the country and in order to attain quality and equal rights for women and girls. Countries should start and focus on expanding opportunities for girls and women by empowering them, giving them opportunities to be self-reliable, self-dependent, where they will be able to lead a community or even bigger leadership roles, which will assist them in their future career. By creating new schools and constructing policies for women's rights and education, the delegate would like to conclude by stating, education is a very immense and a powerful source of knowledge which can help significantly and is a major way of transforming the world to a better and sustainable world. The delegate would like to end the speech by a quote. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Thank you.
Very well noted, Delegate. Do we have any questions for the delegate of Lebanon? Anyone else? You recognize the delegate of Denmark, followed by the delegate of China. The delegate of Iraq, you may ask your question. Delegate of Iraq, do you have a question? All right, seeing the delegate of Iraq is not responding, we'll go with the delegate of Denmark this time.
So, delegate, the major setbacks for the girls' education in Lebanon are the gender equality and the social discrimination. So, what is your stance on these issues?
Thank you for the question. My stance on these issues, could you repeat it once more?
Right, so delegate, my question was that the major setbacks for girls' education in Lebanon are the gender equality and the social discrimination. So, what is your stance on these issues?
So, my stance on this issue is like to spread awareness and for everyone to work together to prevent social discrimination. So, everyone knows how capable girls can be. And yeah.
Thank you, delegate. We'll move on to the next speaker. Prakriti, could you please take the speech of the delegate of Egypt next? I think they got
Yes.
disconnected during the time.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Delegate of Egypt, are you there? Delegate of Egypt? Delegate of Egypt? I'm afraid he's not there yet. We can move to the next speaker.
All right,
The
one
delegate of
second. Yeah, 1 second before that. Any delegates who missed their speech now, we'll take your speech, don't worry, but at the end of the queue. So the delegates of Italy, Canada, Egypt, we'll take your speeches at the end of the queue once we're finished with the original alphabetical order. All right.
delegate of Myanmar.
Can you hear me? I'm delegate Egypt.
Investing in women empowerment and gender equality is not just a development and human rights imperative, but it's also a pathway to bridging the humanitarian development divide and reaching the realization of peace, stability, and resilient communities in Myanmar. The delegate feels that Myanmar has the capability and has reached these goals. This resulted in advancement of human rights and gender equality, which women and girls in Myanmar lead, benefits from and contribute to peace, development, and prosperity of the country, as well as the ultimate goal of UN Women Myanmar. The United Nations in Myanmar reiterates its commitment to put women and girls at the center of its development and humanitarian work in response to the ongoing crisis in the country, to ensure that their needs are met and to support their role and agency in shaping a future path for the country. However, according to UN of Myanmar, despite these statistics, this role of women in modern Burmese society remains restricted. Women in Myanmar remains economically disempowered, underpaid, and underrepresented in the workforce, and at every level of government. The labor force participation rate for men is 83% and only 55% for women. The delegate thought that the government should open up their opinions about women to have rights. For example, letting women lead to prove that they have the leadership skills and not limited to only doing house chores. In addition, the government should take action instead of not doing anything. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate of Myanmar. Do we have any questions for the delegate? Anyone else? All right, we'll go with the delegate of USA.
Delegate of Myanmar mentioned about the importance of female education. But what we see is that because of the Rohingya crisis, many girls were not allowed their basic right to education in Myanmar. So, what does the delegate of Myanmar suggest to make sure that even the Muslim minority in the Rohingya crisis are given the predominant right of education?
Delegate of Myanmar, would you like to answer? Delegate of Myanmar.
So, just consider schools in refugee camps.
Sorry, delegate, could you please repeat that? Prakriti, could you hear that?
No.
Delegate of Myanmar, could you please repeat your answer?
May you repeat the question?
Oh, all right. Delegate of USA, can you please repeat the question?
So, delegate of Myanmar mentioned about the importance of female education. But what we see is that within the Rohingya crisis in Myanmar, the girls belonging to that particular Muslim minority were not given their basic right of education. So, what does the delegate of Myanmar suggest to make sure that even those girls who are in Myanmar are getting their basic right of education?
So Myanmar proposed UN to construct schools in refugee camps for better access to educations.
All right, thank you, delegate. The delegate of Saudi Arabia, you've not yet missed your speech. Your speech will be coming later on. We can move on to the next speaker.
Now we have the delegate of Norway.
Gender inequality underpins which affect women and girls, such as domestic violence and sexual violence, lower pay, lack of access to education, and inadequate healthcare. Over the years, more and more countries work towards equality, and Norway is a great example. The Norwegian parliament amended the 1978 Gender Equality Act in 2002. During the end of the 19th century, the education for women improved. In 1882, women were admitted to the upper levels of secondary education, and 2 years later, to the universities and other professional schools. In Norway, girls' education was made one of the top five priorities through 2016 and 2020. Norway's common goal is to make sure that all girls and boys are in school and learning relevant skills by 2030. Overall, these are some of the steps Norway took to make their country more gender equal. On top of that, Norway is an example for other less gender equal countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have any questions for the delegate of Norway? Anyone else? Okay, delegate of Norway, would it be fine if I give you a question?
Okay.
Sure. Okay. So as you said, the rate of women education in Norway is pretty high when compared to the rest of the countries in the world. But despite that, there is a considerable wage gap between men and women. Women are generally paid 75% of a similarly educated man. What is your take on that?
Uh, I apologize, I cannot answer the question right now. Could I answer in chat?
Sure, delegate, that works. We'll move on to the next speaker.
Okay. The next speaker that we have is Delegate of Philippines. Delegate of Philippines. Okay. Delegate of Russia. Delegate of Russia. I believe I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Okay. Delegate of Romania.
Here,
Yeah, you can start your speech.
the delegation of Romania appreciate your recognize, and here are some points of the topic. Even true, at present, is it believed that there is equality between genders? That is not entirely true. Study on women's rights in school and on school abandonment show that the number of women that are enrolled in the school system is approximately 99,033, of which only 45,090 no thousand no thousand um up, yeah, I think I say right. 84,000 90 65 graduate. This means that 40% abandoned school. Most of them are from the rural area. That is explained by a finance problem and early marriage that is practiced in some ethnic groups. Moreover, Romania owned the title of the having most young mother. The reason for that situation is the lack of education in this field. In Romania, if you are a young mother, you are judged by your classmates and even school staff, and with that, you probably are forced to drop out of school. Dress code is another issue worth mentioning. According to study, approximately every single girl that is in school system now or was in the school system has experienced inequality in their concert, their outfit, and the reaction to them. Furthermore, studies show that women do better in
Dear
school, but the
delegate, your
same
time is
study.
over.
Okay.
Thank you, delegate of Romania. Do we have any questions for the delegate?
Phoebe, is it feasible for me to also ask a question?
Sure, followed by the delegate of Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So I wanted to ask question that you said that 40% of the girls are in Romania and they are from rural areas. How is it possible that they are from rural areas?
I didn't understand the question. Can you repeat it?
Like you said that 40% university graduates in Romania like are girls. And then after that you said that they're from rural areas. How is it possible that they can be from rural areas?
Because um, in the rural area, people that don't have big finance allocation choose to send the boys at school because it's believed that women that go to school and have education they are not as good as wife. So more of them choose a man to go instead of a woman.
All right. Thank you, delegate. We'll be taking only one more question by the co-chair. Rest of you can lower your hands.
Okay, so delegate of Romania, my question is that it's seen that since the 18th century, discrimination against women was a part of official government policy. And even though there are higher education institutions in your country, but only men have this privilege. So how does your country plan to give socio-economic status to women in the following years?
If I know right, women and men have the same rights when it's come to go to university or high school or everything. And in our country, it's made by exams that we need to take. So a lot of women go to better university or high school because women in Romania do better in school. That's was a study made in this filed in 2021.
All right. Thank you, delegate. Delegates, we'll be taking a 15-minute break now. You need not leave the meeting. Just you can close your cameras and mute your mics, and please be back exactly in 15 minutes. I repeat again, please do not leave the meeting. Thank you, guys.
The link has been posted in the chat.
All right, thank you, Navya. Delegates, there has been Navya has posted a feedback form link in the chat box. I request everyone to please go and fill it, including the teachers present. Also, just to check everyone is present on their devices, could everyone please raise their hands once? Delegates, if you're present, please raise your hands. All right, thank you, delegates. Seeing that there are
Excuse me,
most of the delegates are present, will yes, delegate.
What should we give feedback on? Like other delegates or you, sir, as the chair?
In general, delegate, it's a paragraph form, so you can write down everything.
Yeah, like should I do this now? Because like we just started. It's been like 2 hours almost.
The OC can clarify that doubt through the chat box. Navya, please.
Okay.
All right, Prakriti, we can move on with the next speaker.
Okay, the next speaker that we have is the delegate of Saudi Arabia. Delegate of Saudi Arabia.
Yes, I'm here. Okay.
Yeah, you can start your speech.
Right. In Saudi Arabia, the UNCSW has been a vital basis for improvement in the education and empowerment of the women. It has successfully raised the amount of education an independent woman can receive. Saudi Arabia has had a troublesome past with women's empowerment and rights with multiple protests, with one dating back to 2017. Since then, the main amount of majors women can participate in has increased. Women's graduation and enrollment have gone up substantially in the last decade. The main problem with modern education in Saudi Arabia is that it is mostly biased towards women. Women are getting opportunities in great occupations. Wait, sorry. In great occupations. In great occupations, but not as frequently as men. Through school, men are more likely to graduate than women. There is a general bias towards men because of the Islamic beliefs in the kingdom. In my opinion, I feel that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia should try to have a secluded women education system so that the bias towards men doesn't occur. Schools and universities in this system should only employ women staff to successfully secure the school. In conclusion, Saudi Arabia has a long path in front of them, but they are surely treading that path.
All right, thank you, delegate. Could everyone please lower their hands right now? I'm not sure if you still have them up from the roll call. All right, questions for the delegate of Saudi Arabia. Those who have questions can raise their hands. Delegate of Syria.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
No.
All right, delegate of Czech Republic.
Oh, yes, I have a question. There is a law that women, for some universities or for some educational purposes, have to have the consent of their male guardians. Does the government plan to somehow improve it to reduce this law?
Well, yes, KSA does have a plan to completely make individualized women in the future, but the problem is that most of the men in KSA don't have that opinion, don't have that belief. It's a struggle.
Yes, right. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. We'll also take the question from the delegate of Sudan.
Hello. Gender equality keeps making headlines in Saudi Arabia for all the wrong reasons. Why is that, and what it will take for things to change?
Thank you. Uh, the thing is, in Saudi Arabia, because of the Islamic heritage and belief, it is mostly biased towards men, and men seem to have more power in Saudi Arabia because of it. Now, because of that, it can't change way too easily. People will still say the same. So I'm not sure whether or not in the future it will shift towards gender equality, but I'm hoping that it will at some point in time be equal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, delegates. You may lower your hands now. Prakriti, next speaker.
Okay, now we have the delegate of Spain. Delegate of Spain, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You can give your speech now.
To educate a woman is to educate an entire generation. The delegate of Spain feels that education is extremely necessary for everyone. It's the lamented dread that women are denied their significant privileges worldwide and suffer a great deal of violence and discrimination. This issue has been addressed in the Sustainable Development Goals, keeping in mind SDG 4 and 5. The delegate has a conviction that men and women should be at parity and girls should not be denied the right to education. The Department of Education of the Government of Spain is recognized for its Project Scola, which addresses gender stereotypes in education and enables learners to identify inequalities, fight them, and exercise their individual rights to equality. Moreover, the 1970 Education Act guaranteed free education for all Spanish citizens, irrespective of their gender. The relative respect and regard for women's well-being is strongly influenced by their literacy and educated participation in decisions within and outside the family. The delegate would like to conclude by saying that education plays a vital role in transforming the lives of people, and girls must not be denied this right. Last but not the least, one child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Thank you.
Points very well noted, delegate. Do we have any questions to the delegate of Spain? Okay. Delegate of Iraq, do you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. My question, you said that
One
women
second.
face.
Delegate, yeah, we'll go with Iraq, followed by delegate of UAE. Thank you.
I was asking that you said that women face discrimination and violence. So, what kind of violence do women face?
So, thank you for your question. And you asked that what type of violence does the women suffer? So, there are many such things that they are underrepresented in political and economic decision-making processes. And furthermore, women lack access to decent work and face occupational segregation and gender wage problems and gaps.
Is that all, delegate of Spain?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Delegate of UAE, you may ask your question.
As I've noticed that the literacy rate of women in Spain is 99.7, 98%. That is a very high score. So instead of focusing on your country, Spain, how would you like to? How would Spain's government like to help other countries, in uneducated and uncivilized places, to rethink women's rights and think about women's rights in education and other stuff and the quality education, SDG 4?
Thank you, Delegate of UAE. Delegate of Spain, would you like to answer? Delegate of Spain.
Yes, please. I would like to give the answer that Spain influences the education for irrespective of their genders, and Spain also demonstrates a commitment to gender equality in multilateral fora. In November 2021, Spain presented the UN resolution on women and girls and the response to COVID-19 aimed at placing women and girls at the heart of the global response to the COVID-19 crisis and recovery. So overall, Spain is doing much to influence education irrespective of genders. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. We'll be moving on to the next speaker. Delegate of UAE, you may lower your hand.
We have the delegate of Sweden next. Delegate of Sweden.
Yes. In Sweden, the issue of equality between the sexes was addressed in relation to school subjects. Home economics, physical education, crafts, and technology are four subjects that are considered important for counteracting sexual roles. Therefore, in 1979, the new proposal was for home economics to be introduced in the early years of primary schools, so the boys and girls together trained practical skills needed in everyday life. Children's sex role values can be influenced in a positive direction and increase their opportunities for not making sex-specific choices in secondary school. A similar proposal, which was supposed to lead to equality between the sexes, concerned crafts. For secondary school, all pupils choose either textile craft or woodwork. Most often, the choices tend to result in single-sex groups. Since sex-segregated groups are viewed negatively, the National Board of Education has suggested that the choice of crafts should be abolished. Instead, girls and boys would be taught both textile craft and woodwork together. However, this proposal has not received a positive response. The government did not want to make any changes, so the proposal was rejected, and in this connection was used the word force. To use force is not an option. In conclusion, these are some of the steps Sweden took or tried to take to achieve gender equality. Also, Sweden is a great example for other countries with less gender equality.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have any questions to the Delegate of Sweden? Prakriti, would you like to recognize?
Yeah, we can take delegate of UAE.
Thank you for recognition. I would like to ask a question. How would your country, right, like this, Sweden, you have said the proposal has been rejected. So what other proposals or what other things does the Sweden government want to like something that would work with the Sweden government and so also advancing women's rights, since Sweden is not the best of countries in terms of human rights?
Yeah, I have not considered this question, so I will answer it later in the chat.
All right, Delegate, are you open to take one more question? Delegate of Sweden, is it fine if we take one more question?
Sure.
All right, Delegate of Spain, you may go ahead.
I have a question that how could you describe the role of males in ensuring betterment in education sector? Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
How could you describe the role of males in ensuring betterment in education sector?
I don't really understand your question, but um, I will try to answer it in the chat as well.
Thank you, delegates. You may all lower your hands. We'll be moving on to the next speaker now.
Now we have the delegate of Syria.
Yes.
Delegate of Syria.
Yes. Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, thank you for this organization. The delegate of Syria feels that education is immensely necessary for everyone. Unfortunately, girls in Syria have been treated poorly in education. It is very injudicious for the delegate to state that women are denied their basic right worldwide. Sustainable Development Goals have been addressing this issue for a while. Take into account SDG 5, which is gender equality. The delegate feels that men and women should be treated equally and girls should not be denied their right to education. The government of Syria has seized a few concrete measures to ensure the right to education for girls. One of them is the establishment of the Child Protection and Gender-Based Violence in February 2012. The purpose is to coordinate prevention and response to child protection and gender-based violence against children and adults, especially women that are affected by the crisis in Syria and who are living in camps, sites, and host communities. However, research has shown despite these measures, the treatment to women in modern Syrian society remain unjust. A manifesto defining the role of women in Syrian society has been made, and this curriculum discourages women from attending institutions of higher education. It also supports a domestic-based education and marriage by the age of 15. The delegate thinks that the people should change their perspective on women having rights. For example, girls should be able to attend school and further their education to higher level. The delegate would like to conclude by saying that education holds immense power in transforming the life of people, and girl must not be denied this right. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, delegate of Syria. Any questions? Delegate of Myanmar.
Since child marriage has been
Delegate, could you please repeat your question?
since child marriage has been one of the challenge for women not to follow the production, how can we prevent them?
Did you get that, the delegate of Syria?
Yes.
All right.
One of the factors that push parents to marry their daughter at a young age are poverty, gender inequality, and a lack of education. Syria proposed the creation of a fund to support families to set up income generating activities to prevent them from the need to marrying their daughters for academic reasons. Syria also proposed the creation of information session to inform women about their right and the use of contraception to reinforce their life skill and support network against child marriage.
Thank you, delegate. We'll also take one more question from the delegate of India.
Thank you for recognition. I wanted to ask you, what is the government of Syria doing with the problems of domestic violence?
Delegate of Syria.
Yes, can you please repeat the question?
Yes, of course. I wanted to ask you, what is the government of Syria doing with the problems of domestic violence in Syria?
The government of Syria currently adding more specialization at universities and higher institutions and expanding graduate studies in various fields, especially in areas covering women's issues and their role in economic and social development.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you, delegates. We'll be moving to the next speaker.
We have the delegate of Southern now.
Hello, everyone. The delegate of Sudan feels that women's access to education is extremely important from all perspectives, and women would be given equally rights to quality education like men. Women empowerment and girls' education have been given highest priority worldwide, especially by the international community in order to bridge the sizable gender gap and fully develop women's potentials to be actively engaged in poverty, elevation, and sustainable development. Securing good quality education for women has to start earlier. This girls' education is one of the issues that must receive equal attention. In this context, the UN nation launched the Girl Education Initiative with the purpose of promoting gender equality and empowering women, and Sudan is one of the targeted countries in order to end gender gaps in attendance and completion school, eliminating gender differences in the national system of education and eliminate social and cultural discrimination that limits demand for girls' schooling. The schooling system in Sudan includes basic school age between ages 6 to 7 and 13 to 14, followed by 3 years of secondary school. There are three different sections for secondary school education: academic, technical, and religious. UNICEF estimated that only 57% of children ages 6 to 16 are enrolled in basic education, primary level, 34% secondary school for all Sudan, and 63.4% for girls. Also, according to UNICEF, 49% of girls are missing out on primary education in Sudan. As a consequence of inegalitarian views toward women, educators can easily implement their views on who they allow to enroll in school
Okay, delegate,
and the
your time is
large.
over.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Are there any questions for the delegate of Sudan? Okay, good to see new faces. Delegate of France.
So, what are the gender roles in Sudan?
Okay, so gender roles are highly patriarchal and rigidly defined in Sudan. The men are viewed as the main income earners while women are seen as the home workers. But the problem is that feminism as definition is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. But a lot of men does not support feminism in Sudan and any feminist movement because they think that women are too aggressive, isolating, and man-hating. Thank you.
EB,
Thank
I
you, delegate.
believe we can take Philippines too.
Yeah, we can. Delegate of Philippines, you may ask your question.
Yeah, sure.
I want to ask you a solution for better access to education for families.
Um, So investment should be made to garner support to change attitudes and practices toward girls and women's education, such as sensitizing individual communities, duty barriers in all settings. Garnering this support can happen informal and informal at home in the community. The saying goes that charity begins at home, but I would add change begins at home. Have conversation with your family, your friends, classmates to make the case for women and girls education. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. We'll be moving to the next speaker.
The next speaker we have is the delegate of Sri Lanka.
Honorable Head Table and Honorable Head Table and fellow delegates, the delegate of Sri Lanka feels that education is one of the most powerful tools for the regeneration and empowerment of women. It synergizes them to face challenges and to be part of national development of country. It is said that if we educate a man, we educate a man only. But if we educate a woman, we educate a whole family. But it's a great unfortunate that the access for quality education for women is restricted in some nations. When we narrow down to Sri Lanka, girls are given the education they deserve since it got its independence, which skyrocketed in girls' enrollment. Due to this, women empowerment in Sri Lanka will keep growing. Due to some challenges, the female education is halted in rural parts of Sri Lanka, namely poverty, lack of transport facilities, gender-based discrimination, and sexual harassment in schools. As a solution, proposal, proposal of curriculum transaction could overcome the above challenges, such as equal opportunities for both genders, discouraging gender-based distribution, and last but not least, avoiding gender-based allocation of activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate of Sri Lanka. As always, do we have any questions? We'll take Delegate of Germany, followed by, yeah, that's all. We'll only take one. Delegate of Germany, you may ask.
Thank you. So I would like to ask that Sri Lanka like is in a crisis nowadays due to economy. So what is the condition of women right now? The present condition of women in Sri Lanka?
Sorry, can you please repeat the question?
I would like to say that Sri Lanka is in crisis due to economical crisis. So what is the condition of women nowadays? The current condition of women in Sri Lanka.
Both women and men in Sri Lanka they get free education. So actually, economic crisis is not a big problem for them in education.
All right. Thank you, delegates.
Hello.
Delegates, yes,
I'm
delegate.
so sorry, Vayu, I have to make an announcement. So the floor of the committee. Hello, delegates. Myself, Ansh, Secretary General for SMSIMUN. I would just like to say that there has been a feedback form that has been shared in the chat box by our respected teachers. I would request you all to please fill it in order for us to make a better experience for you. It would be really appreciated if you do the same. Thank you very much. Yes, we are going to carry on. Thank you very much.
Ansh?
Yes, Pia?
Yeah, someone had a doubt. What is the feedback form exactly for? Is it the EB or is it the conference in general?
It can be either. Any comments would be appreciated. And the comments, in case they're about the executive board, they won't be given away. They would be just be informed that these are the expressions that are used, and will not disclose the name of the delegate. So there's no way in case a delegate should feel afraid of any kind, right?
Thank you, Ansh.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Did we already take questions for Sri Lanka? Prakriti?
We were taking, like you were in the way.
Uh, Raise your hands,
We were
please.
taking Germany was speaking, I guess.
Germany already asked, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll only take one question, that's all. UAE, Denmark, Germany. Do you have any question to me? Otherwise, please lower your hands. Denmark, do you have a question to the executive board? Yes.
So actually, I just wanted to ask, like in the GSLs, we are taking one mandatory question. So we'll be doing that in the mod caucus as well.
Generally, moderated caucuses do not have questions. So most probably not, but we'll see tomorrow. All right. It'll be according to the time we have left and other things. All right, we'll be moving on to the next speaker now.
The next speaker is the delegate of Turkey. Delegate of Turkey.
Hello. Can you hear me now? All right, I'll get on with my speech. Before moving on with the speech, the delegation of Turkey would like to show its appreciation for both this conference and the invitation. Today also marks the 84th anniversary of the passing of our country's beloved founding leader, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. Thanks to him, the women of Turkey were given the right to an education, the right to vote, the right to equal care, and many more that would make them equal to men. Although it is extremely difficult to break the dogmatist and sexist ideologies some people possess, it is crucial to be persistent in fighting these ideologies, especially in underdeveloped and developing countries. Turkey is also a developing country, and as far as the education system goes, there are certainly a fair amount of flaws. But these issues do not specifically affect women, but they affect every child. Other than the aforementioned issues, women have no trouble choosing a career path, a line of work, or a major in any college that they can get into depending on their exam scores. In many countries, women are not seen as valuable members of society. Thus, the public thinks that education for women is pointless. In this conference, what we should work on is demolishing these points of view and raising awareness about how women are an important part of not only educational societies, but also the cornerstone of our daily life. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Points very well noted. Um, Questions for the delegate of Turkey? Delegate of USA, sure.
So the delegate of Turkey, understanding that access to female education is an issue that is very significant in all the countries and that is not fully achieved in any of the countries. And the COVID-19 pandemic had the worsening effect on this issue. So the delegate of USA would like to know how COVID-19 pandemic affected the quality and the accessibility of female education in Turkey.
Well, of course, the pandemic affected education severely, but we found solutions that were, I think, applicable to most families, and we tried to emphasize the usage of them as much as possible. So there were a couple of options. The first one being that the system was created that was called EBA, and through that, actually, teachers were instructing to a camera which was then teleporting that image to TV, and the students were actually able to, anyone who had a TV was able to see the lessons and participate in them. And also, after a couple of weeks, individual schools, especially private ones, started having Zoom classes in order to in order for the students to actually actively participate in the lessons.
Thank you, delegate. We'll also take one more question from the delegate of Sudan.
Hello. So my question is, what did the government do about the domestic abuse?
Is it okay if the delegate could repeat?
What did the government do about the domestic abuse?
Well, domestic abuse. Well, there are certain laws against it, but domestic abuse usually is something that we're struggling with, more specifically on the eastern side of the country. But there are constant regulations that are passing, and we're trying to demolish this. As we previously stated, there are some sexist ideologies people possess, and these people are mainly located in the eastern side of the country, and we're trying to pass more and more regulations and laws to try and prevent it.
Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. That will be all for the questions. Prakriti will be moving on.
Next, we have the delegate of UAE.
Thank you for recognition. The delegate of the UAE feels that education is a basic human right, since knowledge is power. This is the goal of the United Nations, to make knowledge accessible to all women and men, as stated in SDG 4. And as His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum has said, behind every great community stand great women, leading each generation and raising our families and nation higher. So isn't it fair to give these women that raise us and help us throughout our life all their needs? These include education, well-being, and even more essential things like a roof over their house. It is very sad for the delegate of the United Arab Emirates to have to state these rights, since they are such basic ones. But it is the truth that some people still do not accept these rights. But the UAE looks at women from the perspective that they help the UAE to Mars, making us the first Arab country to gain first-hand insight into the planet's atmosphere. They led groundbreaking research into COVID-19 treatments in an effort to save countless lives and accelerate the global recovery from the pandemic. They have worked to engineer solutions to some of our most pressing energy challenges as we urgently seek to address the impact of climate change. And that is because gender equality in the UAE, because of gender equality in the UAE. If you look into the UAE's people, not a person denies women's rights. And the delegate of the UAE invites all other countries to encourage their people to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Do we have questions to the Delegate of UAE? Delegate of Denmark, followed by a delegate of Czech Republic.
Right. So, delegate, in your speech, you've mentioned the terms of legislation in which your country has taken action. But my very simple question is that does your country support STEM education not for male but for females as well? And if so, have they made any laws supporting it?
Actually, my country, the UAE, has not done anything relating to STEM for women only, but actually we've done many things, including education in STEM, other projects, MUNs like the ones we are in right now. We've made competitions. Women have won many things. They've gone into international bases. They've gone into national bases and local bases too. So, and there are many laws, countless laws actually, that support women's rights in education and other things. So even that 2/3 of the population of women are working and full-time jobs, and if not, they are the other 1/3 of the women are working in part-time jobs. And thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Czech Republic.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about how did or what did the UAE, sorry, did to achieve that women are mostly or even better at school than men? Like, how did they do it? What did they do for it?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Yes. What did the government do that women are sometimes and more often more successful at universities, or that they complete more secondary education than men?
Actually, my country does not believe that women should be have access. Sorry, should get more grades or higher grades, or men that should get higher grades or lower grades. It's actually all depends on the mind of the person. My country believes in equal rights between women and men. So even if the woman has is a woman and has her rights, she has the right to participate in education and in many formal things, but she will not have the right to continue if her grades or score or points in exams are not forward. If the scores are relative marks or anything are good enough to be applicable for the meaningful source, of course they will be allowed. So there is no restriction for women, but the only restriction for women and men is that the points or the score or the accessibility to the thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Please keep your answers concise, okay, and to the point. But thank you nevertheless. That's all for questions. Also, along with that, Delegate of UAE, could you please send me a copy of your speech on Telegram or on Teams itself? Just send me a copy of your speech as a personal message, okay?
Where should I send it?
Anywhere, either on Telegram or here
I
itself.
don't have Telegram. Can
Okay.
you give me your email?
Sure, I'll type it in the chat box. All right. We'll be moving on to the next speaker. That is the delegate of Ukraine.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me time on the agenda. The delegate of Ukraine would like each of you to think of a woman in your life, whoever be your mother, sister, grandmother, somebody who is important to you, who you look up to. If she had to face the issues, what would you do? All people proclaim that they want to live a better life by making people equal, but all they are doing is just promising empty words. An example can be accessing women's right to education. About 126 million women are not able to access education. That means 5% of our population. Nowadays, Ukraine is a developed country, even if it is in a war with Russia. But if you look attentively, we can spot some problems. Before the 18th century, women did not have any rights to education, but in 1850, the country decided to make gender schools. Of course, male schools were better, and because of this, in 1887, girls over 5 were compared to boys. Higher education was closed to women for a long time. Only in 1860, women gained the right to study at university, and this was revoked 2 years later. The revolution of 1970 gave women the right to education and decided to make mixed schools where girls and boys could learn together at an equal level. On 27 January 2021, Ukraine equal women's and men's rights. An idea built the wall of separation between sexes, and an idea will crumble into dust, said Sarah Moore Grimke. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, delegate. Do we have questions to the delegate of Ukraine? We'll only take one delegate of Iraq. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask that how do the problems which you mentioned affect the environment of Ukraine?
Because the women were criticized and they didn't right, it somehow changed the image of Ukraine, and the UN woman decided to uh, enter in that problem and try to change all of the things.
Thank you, delegate. We'll be moving on to the next speaker. That is the delegate of United Kingdom. Delegate of UK. All right, not here. We can proceed with the delegate of US.
I'm sorry, I answered. UK. Thank you.
UK, are you ready with your speech?
Yeah, I am.
Could you please repeat that?
I'm ready.
All right, you can begin.
The delegate of the United Kingdom feels that education is the most important aspect of everyday life. It's very sad to think that such a crucial right for women all over the world is still denied. According to SDG 4, dealing with gender equality, the delegate believes men and women should be equally treated. The right to education shouldn't be denied to young girls. The government of the UK has taken serious measures about gender equality in order to ensure right education for young women.
I'm very sorry to interrupt, but your voice is really laggy.
Yes, delegate, could you please check your mic once?
I'm
Or
really sorry to interrupt, but I really couldn't understand.
yeah, I couldn't as well. Delegate of UK, we'll come back to you after a few speakers, if that's okay. You can take the time to fix your microphone till then. All right, we'll be moving on to the delegate of USA.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be starting my speech. So the first thing that we have to understand in relation to today's motion is that no country
has completely achieved and given access to female education, and even USA, one of the most liberal and democratic states, have not achieved the complete gender equality of female education. And what USA thinks is why female education is important is because then female has that particular understanding over how to manage their human right violations such as sexual abuse, such as lack of career orientation, and such as lack of women rights. So USA sees that in this scenario, international collaboration become one of the main aspects to tackle this issue, given that there are many developing and less economically developed countries who do not have the required resources to promote that equal access to female education. So we say that even though USA has not completely achieved gender equality and has not completely given female education to everyone, there's a rising high rates of female access to education comparative to other countries. And USA sees that this is because of the close partnership with the United Nations, particularly UN Women. And because of this, USA become a direct supporter of sustainable development goals. And because of this, USA also promotes job markets and job opportunities within the modern job markets, such as STEM field for women. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has become an obstacle for USA's female education, but Delegate of USA would like to emphasize the point that women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights, thus calling everyone to support this agenda and to promote access for female education. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Points very well noted. Do we have questions towards the Delegate of USA? All right. We'll take two. Delegate of Central African Republic. You may go first.
You mentioned that there's no country. You mentioned that there's no country that have fully achieved gender equality. So, what's your stance about this decision?
Chair, can the delegate please rephrase the question?
You mentioned that there's no country have fully achieved gender equality. So, what's your stance about the situation?
Okay, so what Delegate of USA mentioned is that no country in this world, even one of the most democratic countries like USA, has fully achieved gender equality, because we can see still patriarchy in this world exists even in the tiniest amount in every society. So because of that, patriarchy and lack of women rights still exist in each and every single country in different amounts, and that is exactly why we should support this motion and make sure that we are going to eliminate these tiny and big amounts of different amounts of patriarchy in every society.
All right.
Thank you for
Next, we'll be having Delegate of Brazil or Finland, whichever one that is. Please also mention your country name while unmuting. Delegate of Brazil or Finland.
I want to. I have a question. I am delegate of Finland.
All right, Delegate, go ahead.
What are current women's rights issue in America? How and what is your opinion? How we can solve them this issue?
So basically, female education in USA is usually at a good rate, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the rise of the shadow pandemic due to the travel restrictions, we see that female rights are sort of negatively influenced by that. And because of this shadow pandemic, the literacy rate of females have fallen down. And USA is currently taking actions and have already taken some actions to tackle the negative influence of the shadow pandemic on female education. And for an example, USA have promoted this actually this online platform where women can where females can receive education material not through school but through private platforms, so that female education is going to continue.
Thank you, Delegate. That's all for the questions for the speaker. I'll now be starting again alphabetically for the students who've missed their GSL. Delegate of Argentina, are you here?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Are you ready with your GSL, Delegate?
Yes, I'm ready. So I would
Yeah.
like to tell about Argentina. The status of women in Argentina has changed sufficiently since the restoration of democracy in 1944. They have a comparable level of education and slightly higher school enrollment rates than their male counterparts. They are well integrated into the cultural and intellectual life of the country, although to a lesser extent into the economy of the country. Women, however, continue to face numerous systemic problems typical of women in other countries. Although since the adoption of the Argentine Civil Code in 1869, all citizens are considered equal. Now Argentina has one of the most advanced educational systems in the entire Western Hemisphere, although its standards have decreased somewhat due to financial difficulties. Argentina now offers many different education programs for all people, for both women and men. A lot of people from abroad choose Argentina in order to get an education. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Delegate of Argentina. Do we have questions to the delegate? All right, we'll take the delegate of Czech Republic.
Yes, hi. I wanted to ask, how is the government going to solve the early childbearing since the girls don't have the knowledge about pregnancy? Like, is there maybe some plan for them to have this sort of education when they don't go to school because of that, and they don't have the education that would normally be learned at school?
To tell the truth, I think that the government of Argentina does a lot to fight with the problem of family education. I think that after the pandemic of COVID-19, they do statistics with the women's education, and I know that the millennial goals in Argentina is to promote gender equality and empower women. When looking at this regard to jobs, the goal strives to remove the glass ceilings that prevent women from being promoted to higher and better paid positions, especially if women have the same education level as the men applying for the same job and education or institutional.
All right, thank you,
Okay,
delegates.
thank you.
That's all for the speaker. We'll be moving on to the delegate of Australia.
Thank you.
Is the delegate of Australia present? Okay, moving on. The delegate of Bangladesh. Delegate of Bangladesh, are you here? Okay. Delegate of Canada.
Yes.
Are you ready with your speech, delegate?
Yes, thank you for the recognition. Honored President, distinguished chairs, fellow delegates, and dear guests. Basic human rights are the right to an education, the right to culture and art, right to work, freedom of thought and religion, equality before law, no torture and inhuman treatment, and no discrimination. All human beings are free and equal. Human rights can be taken away. We believe in those rights, and we believe educated women better understand those rights, and by understanding these rights, they are less likely to be mistreated. Canada's compulsory school laws mandate the minimum length of time children and youths must spend before having the legal option to leave. Our public schooling system of high school and post-secondary school is known for providing the best technical and professional training, and it's free for residents of the country. By not making education accessible and safe for young girls and women, you are denying them of their basic rights and setting them to not succeed in their official careers and financial stability. Research shows that child marriage and adolescent birth rates are higher in underdeveloped countries and low-income countries where getting an education is not always safe for women. Women who have received a basic education are likely to get married and have children later in life, which results in healthier pregnancies and reduce the risk of domestic violence.
Thank you, Delegate. We'll be taking one question for the Delegate of Canada. Go ahead, Delegate of Denmark.
Alright. So, delegate, considering the fact that Canada is a first-tier nation, does it plan on helping third-tier nations which do not have the access to school, unlike other nations?
I do not have that information right now, but I will answer you in the chat if that's possible.
All right, Delegate.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say that I have to leave now because like I was taking this conference from school and now it's off time. So can I leave?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Delegate of Australia. Delegate of Australia, are you ready with your speech? Delegate of UAE, that you have a question?
Yes, I have a question to the past delegate.
Delegate of UAE will only be taking one question.
Oh, okay.
All right. Seeing Australia here, we'll be moving on to the delegate of Egypt. Is the delegate of Egypt here? All right. Next speaker is the delegate of Italy.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, delegate, you have the floor.
Sorry? Can you repeat? Okay. The delegates of Italy would like to sensibilize the population on the fact that the situation in which women are living is not based on equal rights with men, and this matter is slowly becoming reality in everyday life. For a decade now, the Italian government has ensured that there is no lack of school facilities or universities, ensuring high-level education to both males and females. No matter what the gender, it has been continuing to work about this, the equal opportunity about in the between the genders. So, but this is not always respected, mainly due to choices taken by superior like professor, deans, or rectors that in many cases act for personal purpose or give precedence to males instead of females. I think that the main problems we encounter are like the stereotypes and the equal opportunities. The stereotypes because the women in many jobs and various educational situations are not often taken seriously, just like their worth. And for example, about the equal opportunities, the salary of the man is much higher than the women. The man the man's hourly wage is equal to 16 euro, while the woman's is like 15, if I remember right. Yeah. As an Italian delegates, we'd like to suggest certain solutions to avoid these gender differences. And a first solution, I think it will be like expand awareness to equal opportunities, which is already taking place in various regions, both of school and public areas, going from congresses to meetings. Moreover, sharing and educating even the younger ones to educate themselves since childhood on the subject in question. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, delegate. Do we have questions? Anyone else?
Go ahead, India.
Thank you for your recognition. The delegate of India would like to know how would you improve the lack of sex education that women's got, because there isn't enough education about marriages and so on. So how would you improve this?
You're talking about the education, about the. I can you repeat the question? I didn't understand. I have a poor connection.
I asked you about it. I asked you how would you improve the sex education in Italy, because it could influence, lack of the sex education could influence higher level of education for women.
Mm-hmm. In Italy, we're already on about this topic. The sex education in most of the school in Italy already take part, and there are lessons on during the afternoon during the afternoon. Yeah, even in the elementary school or things like that, in high school, we have lessons that talk about sex education for sensibilizing this topic.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Nothing.
Thank you,
You're
delegates.
welcome.
Is the delegate of Russia present? All right. Is the delegate of Philippines? Philippines, have you already given your GSL?
Hello, I'm here. 1 second.
Sure, delegate.
Do you listen me?
Yes, delegate, you're audible. You may start.
Okay, yes. The Philippines is described as a nation of strong women who directly and indirectly run a family unit, business, government agencies. Modern Filipino women play a crucial role in Filipino families. They usually manage money, act as religious mentors, and can also make all important family decisions. In the past, firms and businesses used to hire Filipino women for less pay and crucial functions. But currently, Filipino women are given the same opportunities as their male counterparts in business. This is due to political and economic changes at the global and national levels in urban society that have created more opportunities for Filipino women. In rural areas, a Filipino woman owns a house, children approach her for money and help. The Philippines acquired a centralized education system in 1905. Since then, much attention has paid to education in this country and even the world. Educational for all have become the motto of Philippine schools. Any child can go to school and get an education here, which is voluntary and conditional free. But it has a big problem. It is all. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Do we have questions for the delegate of Philippines? We'll only be taking one, delegate of Sudan.
So my question is, what is the biggest problem of education in the Philippines?
To tell the truth, the biggest problem of an education system and education for all is budget, because they Filipinos don't have enough money to pay for education for all, and it's a real big problem. Thank you for a question.
You're welcome.
Thank you, delegate. Lastly, delegate of United Kingdom.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, delegate. Perfect. You may begin.
Okay, thank you. The delegate of the United Kingdom feels that education is the most important aspect of everyday life. It's very sad to think that such a crucial right for women all over the world is still denied. According to SDG 4, dealing with gender equality, the delegate believes men and women should be equally treated. The right to education shouldn't be denied to young girls. The government of the UK has taken serious measures about gender equality in order to ensure education for young women. One important step is enshrined by the Equality Act from 2010. The delegate feels that ensuring quality education is a priority as it provides for a better future, making a person more civilized. Not only does it lead to better citizens for each country, but also for the entire world. The delegate of the UK would like to express a series of different solutions for all the countries. In this attempt, men and women should cooperate for ensuring next generation a better future. They must be aware of the importance of a good education in order to avoid stereotypes and prevent poverty. The country should spend on ensuring structures and new policies to protect female education.
Thank you, delegate. One question for the delegate of UK. Delegates, you can raise your hands if you have a question. All right, delegate of Brazil or Finland, whichever one that is.
Delegate of Finland. I have a question for UK. From my knowledge, I know that in 1981 was signed a very important document, and I want to ask a delegate of UK if he knows about it.
I actually don't know about it, but I will search and inform you later.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, delegate. You can all lower your hands now. All right, seeing that it is almost time to end day one, we'll be breaking here. We're done with GSLs for almost everyone. The only countries left are Australia, Bangladesh, Egypt, Russia. That's all. So we'll be taking those 4 GSLs tomorrow. And apart from that, we'll be starting with the moderated caucuses. I had shared a list of 4 or 5 topics in the Telegram group. I'll also tell the OC to possibly add it on the Instagram if possible. I want every one of you to prepare a 60-second speech on each of those topics by tomorrow. All right? That is all.
Yeah, but sir, I don't have Telegram and I really don't have Instagram, so how will I get it? Like, is it okay if it's on Gmail?
I'll email it to you, delegate of UAE.
Thank you.
Please send me on email.
Those who want the topics to be sent on email, please send your emails in the chat box. Or just a second, I'll just mention the topics here in the chat box itself. Give me a few minutes, okay? Apart from that, I was very impressed of by how well prepared all of you were. I wasn't honestly expecting everyone to be prepared even with their GSLs, but it is very encouraging to see that everyone has prepared for the conference. Good work, and hope to see you all tomorrow as well. I'll be sharing the mod caucus topics in the chat in another 2 or 3 minutes, okay?
In today's conference, I would like to request all of you to please fill the feedback form.
What we have failed in the institution.
Your school.
Okay.
Sir, in the form name, the field of name, should I write my actual name or my like the country I am representing?
Your name.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, everyone. I've sent the topics for the moderated caucus speeches in the chat box. There are 4 topics, so 4 60-second speeches. Is that fine? Any doubts, everyone? All right, seeing none, we'll be breaking here for the day. Hope to see everyone tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Excuse
Thank
me,
you.
just one thing.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Excuse me, just one thing.
Goodbye. Bye.
Excuse me.
Please.
Yes, UAE, do you have a doubt?
Yeah, these were not the topics I was prepared for, since in the invitation sent under the United Commission Status of Women Committee, there were different topics.
Okay. You mean in the background guide?
No, in the invitation sent to me.
Invitation. As far as I am aware, delegate, these are the topics that I've sent to the OC. So, Nabha, could you please check that and let the delegate know?
Yes, I'll check that and I will then post it on Telegram.
Thank you.
Sir, I don't have Telegram.
Can
Okay,
you
then
mention
let
your
me
email ID in the
get my
chat? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure.